Do you have an image of the Ramses head that Christopher Dunn
I
worked
do.
on?
I do.
That's a fascinating image that
It is.
he overlaid.
Yeah, so I mean, this is an example of another. I've often talked about these heads. We talked about symmetry, and symmetry being one of the aspects of precision. We see remarkable symmetry, particularly in these statues. So, this is one of the images. This comes from Chris Dunn's book, essentially showing you that you have the same curvatures being used in different places, which is an indication of how it was manufactured. But probably the best example that I can share is this, again, an image from Chris Dunn's book. Unfortunately, this head is now back up on top of the statue, like 30 feet up in the air. So
Okay.
uh, what this is, it's a reverse transparency overlay.
So they probably saw this
I
work
think it may
and
have had
lifted
something
it
to
up
do with
and
it.
yeah,
Although,
yeah.
to be fair, they've been restoring a lot of these statues.
Okay.
I'm 50-50 on it, to be honest. They're basically concrete sculpting a lot of the body, and then they're putting back to the pieces that they have, because they don't have all the pieces.
Okay.
There's no mistaking the ancient bits for the modern bits, but the modern bits for the ancient bits, rather, the perfection of the ancients. But I mean, it's nice that they're putting it back together, but in a lot of cases, they're making them inaccessible for like detailed study. This thing used to be sitting on the ground here, as you can see. So you see two Chris Dunns on the left and the right, right? There isn't two Chris Dunns, there's only one. So what you do is you take a photo directly on centerline, you copy the photo, and then you flip it on that vertical axis, right? So you're mirror imaging it to the other side. You make both photos 50% transparent, and you overlay them. So what you would get is you would see where the features don't match from left to right. You would see blurriness, you'd see overlaps, and we just don't see it. Like, that's what's remarkable about this, is it's perfectly symmetrical. I mean, at least within the boundaries of this test,
Yeah.
which is just an astonishing feature to see in a granite artifact this large.
You don't see that on humans in general. Humans
That's right.
are not perfectly
When none
symmetrical.
of us, in fact, our left nostril's different to the right
Right,
one, and
right.
eyeballs, and yeah, it's not a human feature, and it's this isn't something you see reflected in classical artwork either. I mean, I've seen David by Michelangelo.
Sure.
Damn thing nearly brought me to tears. It's a beautiful sculpture,
It
but
is.
it's not symmetrical, and it's magical artwork. But this, to me, is like
Not only is David not symmetrical, and yet it's absolutely beautiful, but it's also made out of
marble.
marble,
Yeah,
which is a 3 on the Mohs scale.
yeah, much
And
softer.
this is granite, you're saying?
This is granite.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is rose granite.
Yeah, much easier to work marble.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, granite sculptors know this. Like, they don't really often choose to work in mediums like granite. It's tough. I mean, it lasts a long time, obviously. But yeah, this is a real tough medium. But whoever was making these things seemed to like working in it, or they found it easy. And to me, it's kind of represents the most efficient way to make a face. So if you are designing this, again, not just carving it, but designing it, then you could design half the face and just mirror image it, and boom, there's your other half of the face. And these things are mysterious to me. I mean, I genuinely think they're a little bit alien in their appearance, in their perfection, in their symmetry. It's just that Ozymandias poem. It kind of summarizes and captures that to me. But it's remarkable. And it's not just this face that we see this. We see this sort of symmetry and precision in Hedjets. We see it in it's the same face on all of these big statues. Chris Dunn's looked at that in the past. I think there's an endless number of applications for techniques like scanning to really get to the bottom of this and study these things in more detail.
The Hedjets or headdresses?
Hedjets are there too.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, so Hedjets are the crowns. There's two types. In fact, this shows you both the Hedjet right here and the Pashent in the rear. These are actually complex curved geometries. They have these compound curved surfaces. Again, these are all images from Chris Dunn's book. They're perfectly symmetrical when you're front on from left to right. Here's another reverse transparency on center. But obviously, these things that kind of like they go backwards as well. So they're symmetrical from one axis or one perspective, but they're compound curved surfaces. So the curvatures change as they move up there, and then they reverse on themselves in some cases.
And these would have been made out of one solid block of
Oh,
granite?
totally.
Yeah.
The whole statue would have been made out of them. Today, they're all cut up into different pieces, but I mean, these are marvels of engineering. It's a very complex pattern. If you and at Luxor, you can still run your hand over a few of them, and they're just immaculate. Like they're perfectly polished and smooth. You can't sense any deviations or waviness in the stone. I mean, you see the same thing in the curved surfaces of the cornice blocks that you find at Giza. These perfectly polished and consistent curvatures. Like, it's machine made. It's not I don't have any other explanation for it. These are machine made, they're designed and then machine made. Something that's guiding the cutting tool that's extremely precise and consistent and adhering to a particular pattern. I don't have any other, explanation for it. You can't do it any other way as far as I'm concerned. Like, yeah, these Hedjets are
And have we found examples?
remarkable.
Have we recovered Hedjets? Have we found examples of those from the Egyptian time period that they actually did wear these things during that time period?
Don't know. I don't
Okay.
think so. I mean, certainly they're depicted. I know we found some crowns and jewelry. I'm honestly not that up to date on the jewelry side of things.
Okay.
I often skip like the Tutankhamun or Tanis exhibits
Mhm.
in the museum where they have all the jewelry. They're cool. I've been in there before, but I actually don't know if we found replicas of these that, not attached to the giant statues. They're just utterly amazing. I don't know what else to say about them. I mean, it's it's a it's easy to talk about precision, and it's probably the best way to start it is to talk about flat surfaces, straight lines, 90-degree corners.
Mhm.
But in a lot of ways, these compound curve surfaces are another degree of precision that's even more sophisticated, because to get that accurate and to keep it consistent, and where it's not it's symmetrical sort of when you're front on, but it's actually leaning back, when you're on the side. I mean, keeping all that consistent and implementing precision in a three-dimensional object like a statue head or a Hedjet is utterly remarkable, and probably far more difficult than making a flat surface or a 90-degree corner in stone.
Yep. I got to get
Because
Chris Dunn on the show too, because
definitely.
you've mentioned him several
Oh
times. He's
yeah,
done some incredible work,
love Chris.
obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big inspiration for me. I'm very, very grateful to be able to say I'm friends with him now. Like I talk to Chris fairly often, but tremendous inspiration for me. He's a big part. I mean, I think his books, will be treated as I think I think they've moved the ballpark. They've moved the whole thing forward since Petrie. Like he's a modern successor to Petrie, and I do think his works will be appreciated in time for what they are. They kind of get scoffed at by the mainstream and ignored in general by the mainstream today. But I do think that in the future that they'll be looked at and said, yeah, he was the guy that really moved this whole discussion forward and made significant discoveries with his work. And he dedicated his life to a lot of it. He went out on a limb with a lot of his work, but it's fascinating stuff. And I mean, there's nobody more qualified to talk about these types of things, like literally a manufacturing engineer that's been in the game for 50 years.
He's looking at it all from an engineering standpoint.
Yeah, well, that's what I appreciate about
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I mean, he's a manufacturing engineer in the aerospace industry, and if you want a detailed study of things like the saw cuts, the tube drills, the statues, I mean, go buy Chris's books. I use a lot of his information in my videos and credit him for it, and I've also interviewed him on my channel. Yeah, it's wonderful work. Yeah, he's been a huge inspiration for this. I think, yeah, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now without him.
Yep. If there was a civilization, if there was a group of people, likely would have extended past that period.